Is the killing of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent killing of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu? Investigators are looking into the possibility that Jaquan Murphy was killed in retaliation for Pop Smoke's death.
Pop Smoke's untimely death remains one of the most devastating losses the music industry has ever faced.
Pop Smoke was known by some of the biggest names in the business, like Nicki Minaj and 50 Cent. His murder has stunned fans everywhere.
His murder not only brought heartbreak to his fans and family, but also fueled an intense call for vengeance on the streets. While law enforcement carried out their investigation, which ultimately led to the conviction of 3 men and 2 teenagers for Pop's murder, the streets pursued their own brand of justice.
The LAPD has just made several arrests in the shooting death of rapper Pop Smoke. The LAPD says 3 men and 2 teenagers have been arrested.
Rumors quickly spread about bodies dropping in retaliation, and let's just say that bodies are still dropping.
Is the killing of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent killing of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu?
Also, adding to the tension is the fact that one of Pop's alleged killers is already walking free, and he's not even staying quiet about it. He's been all over social media, openly bragging about his involvement in Pop Smoke's murder, showing zero remorse for being part of the crew responsible.
I'm not sorry about nothing. No, die every day. Like, he was rapping about it, all type of. So I ain't sorry about it.
His behavior has sparked outrage, with many people speculating that it's only a matter of time before the streets pays him a visit. There's a lot more to unpack, so let's break it all down. Pop Smoke's death in February 2020 shook the rap world to its core. He was just 20 years old at the peak of his rise, when his life was tragically cut short during a home invasion in the Hollywood Hills. Fans were devastated, and the music industry lost one of its brightest young stars. But what's unfolded since his death has been even more unsettling. Fast forward to August 2023, and the case took a shocking twist when authorities began investigating a gruesome discovery. A man's naked body was found stuffed inside a barrel floating near a Florida beach. The victim was identified as Javonnta Murphy, a 32-year-old singer-songwriter from Silmar, California. An autopsy revealed he'd been shot in the head before being stuffed into a 55-gallon drum that was later found at Malibu Lagoon State Beach on July 31st. What made this case even more chilling was who Javonnta was related to. He was the older brother of Jaquan Murphy, one of the 5 suspects initially arrested in connection with Pop Smoke's murder.
Is the killing of rapper Pop Smoke related to the recent killing of a man whose body was found in a barrel in Malibu? Investigators are looking into the possibility that Javonnta Murphy was killed in retaliation for Pop Smoke's death.
The connection immediately raised eyebrows and fueled speculation. Was this an act of retaliation for Pop Smoke's death? The timing and link to Jaquan made it hard for people not to wonder. While authorities arrested Joshua Lee Simmons for Javonta's murder, the motive and its potential ties to Pop Smoke remain unclear. Was this a case of street justice, or was it a coincidence? No one knows for sure. But in the hip-hop community, many believe it's far too connected to be random. For fans, the idea of retaliation wouldn't be surprising. Pop Smoke wasn't just another artist. He was deeply loved and respected. His music, his energy, and his unique sound brought people together. And his sudden death left a massive void in the industry. Many who were close to him vowed that his death wouldn't go unanswered. And while the legal system did its job, the streets seemed to take matters into their own hands. Pop Smoke's murder in 2020 was as senseless as it was shocking. He had rented an Airbnb in the Hollywood Hills, far away from the streets of New York, where he came up and learned to navigate life's dangers. Despite being in LA, a place he should have been safe, things went horribly wrong. It started innocently enough. Pop and his close friend Mike D were enjoying their time in LA, hanging out and sharing some moments on Instagram. One of those posts showed off a stack of luxury gifts they had received, including a bag from Amiri. Unfortunately, that photo also revealed the address of their Airbnb. It was an honest mistake, but it became a deadly one.
Just hours before the home invasion, fans say Pop Smoke was flaunting stacks of money inside his home on social media.
His address is right there on one of his shopping bags in his house, which is this same location.
In the early morning hours of February 19, 2020, around 4 a.m., a group of intruders who had seen the address online broke into the house. They climbed up to the second-floor balcony, where they entered the property. Their first move was to find the woman who was with Pop Smoke, threatening her at gunpoint before heading for the bathroom where Pop was showering. At first, it seemed like the robbers just wanted to grab some valuables and leave. Pop Smoke, being level-headed, was reportedly ready to hand over his Rolex to avoid any further trouble. But then things took a deadly turn. Pop decided to fight back, refusing to go down without a fight. That's when one of the intruders pulled the trigger, and everything spiraled into chaos. The robbers snatched the Rolex and bolted, disappearing into the night, leaving behind devastation and heartbreak.
A rising rap star shot to death before sunrise in a Hollywood Hills home. Police say 20-year-old Bashar Jackson, who went by Pop Smoke, was gunned down when several suspects broke in to rob him.
Amelia Rose, who was with Pop Smoke that night, shared her chilling recollection during an interview with Van Lathan on WeTV's Hip Hop Hunt. Pop said he was going upstairs, she remembered, her voice heavy with emotion. I was sitting on the bed starting to take off my clothes, and he said, "Okay, I'll come back." He was heading to the restroom, and those were his last words. What happened next unfolded in mere seconds, but felt like an eternity for Amelia. She heard the sliding glass door open and turned to see a masked man holding a gun. "His eyes made me so scared," she said, her fear still palpable as she recounted the moment. They ran straight to the restroom. Pop screamed, "What?" The horror escalated from there. Amelia described how one of the intruders dragged Pop Smoke out of the bedroom. She heard a struggle, then the deafening sound of a gunshot that ended his life. Her voice cracked as she admitted she still struggles to sleep at night, haunted by the memories of that terrifying evening. She remains in disbelief that she wasn't off too, feeling the weight of surviving such a traumatic experience. In the aftermath of Pop's death, fans were left in shock, and for months the investigation seemed to stall. Many speculated that the murder might have been gang-related since Pop Smoke was known to be affiliated with the Crips, but as the details unraveled, it became clear this wasn't a gang hit. It was a robbery that went horribly wrong. Eventually, police arrested 5 suspects: Jaquan Murphy, Keandre Rogers, Corey Walker, and 2 minors whose names have been kept confidential. The case revealed the grim truth about Pop's tragic death. The 2 minors played significant roles, with one admitting to being the shooter. Both pleaded guilty, and the shooter is now serving time in juvenile detention until he turns 25. The other minor received a 4-year sentence.
A 20-year-old man pleaded guilty in juvenile court on Thursday, April 6th, admitting he entered a Hollywood Hills mansion as a teenager in February 2020 with the plan to rob Pop Smoke, who ended up being shot to death by his assailant. He was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in the secure youth treatment facility in Los Angeles, but could remain in juvenile custody until he's 25.
As for the adults involved, their trials are still pending. But the story didn't end there. One of Pop Smoke's alleged K-ers, shockingly, is already out and walking free, sparking widespread outrage. Fans in the hip-hop community are furious, not just at him, but also at the system that allowed it to happen. Adding fuel to the fire is the fact that this individual has been all over social media, brazenly boasting about his role in Pop's murder. His lack of remorse and blatant disregard for the pain he's caused has left people seething. The controversy escalated when Adam22, the host of No Jumper, gave this man, known as Blockstar, a platform to share his side of the story. In an hour-long interview, Blockstar not only provided chilling details about what happened that night, but also shocked viewers with his attitude. He showed almost no remorse and even insinuated that Pop Smoke somehow deserved it, and that he wasn't sorry for anything. A statement that sent waves of anger through fans and critics alike.
I'm not sorry about nothing. No, die every day. Like, he was rapping about it, all type. So I ain't sorry about it.
The interview with Blockstar dropped a lot of unexpected revelations, offering new insights into Pop Smoke's tragic death and pulling back the curtain on Blockstar's life. For starters, Blockstar revealed that the fatal shooting of Pop Smoke wasn't his first time pulling the trigger. He openly admitted to shooting someone during an argument when he was just 13 years old. Remarkably, he managed to beat that case, a detail that underscores how his life was already on a dark path before the events of February 2020. Blockstar's early years paint a picture of someone shaped by chaos and survival. In the interview, he shared how he reacts when he feels anxious or stressed. "I hate having butterflies in my stomach," he explained. Whenever I feel that way, I have to act. This glimpse into his mindset helps explain how he ended up involved in something as devastating as Pop Smoke's Emder. It's clear he's someone who's been hardened by his environment, but his lack of remorse during the interview shocked many viewers. The conversation also cleared up a lot of the myths and conspiracy theories that have swirled around Pop Smoke's death since that night. For years, fans speculated that there was more to the shooting than just a robbery. Some believed it was a gang-related hit, given Pop's affiliations, while others thought jealousy over his meteoric rise in the drill music scene might have been a motive. Even Nicki Minaj weighed in back in 2020, hinting that envy might have played a role in Pop's untimely death. With all the rumors and theories flying around, it's easy to see why people thought there might be a deeper story. But Blockstar claimed to set the record straight. According to him, it was nothing more than a robbery gone wrong. In fact, he confessed that he didn't even know who Pop Smoke was at the time of the incident.
I didn't know him at all. I didn't know of him. I probably seen one picture of him before and I thought he was a model.
Blockstar described waking up the next morning and being stunned to learn that the person they had offed was a famous rapper. He tried to excuse his actions by saying he was high on a perk during the robbery and wasn't fully aware of what was happening.
And that's what I made my decision based off. And I was high too. I was off a perk. So I wasn't really fully aware of anything, well, too much.
But his casual attitude throughout the interview left many feeling that he wasn't genuinely remorseful. What's more, Blockstar addressed some of the persistent rumors about that night. He dismissed the idea that Pop Smoke was set up, a theory that had gained traction because of the two people who were also in the house that night. Many fans suspected that someone close to Pop Smoke might have betrayed him, but Blockstar insisted that wasn't the case. According to Blockstar, it was just him and his 3 friends who carried out the robbery, and none of them intended for things to escalate the way they did. Of course, whether or not you believe that is another story entirely. A major question that still lingers is, who actually pulled the trigger? Back in 2023, an 18-year-old, who was only 15 at the time of the Emder, admitted to being the shooter. However, the shooter's name was never publicly revealed, leaving fans to speculate. During the interview, Adam, 22, tried to press Blockstar to name the person who fired the fatal shot, but Blockstar wasn't having it. He shut down the question, telling Adam to move on to the next topic.
Everybody keeps saying that you were the trigger man. Is that accurate?
Next question.
Can't talk about that.
Blockstar stuck to his story, claiming that nobody was supposed to get hurt that night. He chalked the whole thing up to being kids from the hood and insisted it was just a robbery gone wrong.
Was intended to get hurt that night?
Nobody's intended to get hurt. We was just kids being kids from the hood. And
still, his comments about Pop Smoke's violent lyrics didn't sit well with fans. Blockstar suggested that the rapper might have brought some of this on himself, pointing to the aggressive themes in his music. For many, this felt like victim blaming and only added to the frustration and anger surrounding the interview. Toward the end of the interview, Blockstar showed a brief glimpse of remorse, offering condolences to Pop Smoke's family. He tried to justify his actions by pointing to his troubled upbringing, saying, "That's just the way I grew up." He even admitted that if he could turn back time, he'd change what happened. But if Blockstar thought this half-hearted apology would ease the pain or calm the outrage, he was dead wrong. Instead of making fans feel any better, his words only fueled their anger. Pop Smoke's supporters weren't buying the apology. They were vocal about their frustration, pointing out that an "I'm sorry" can't undo the damage or bring Pop back. For them, the idea that someone involved in K-ing one of the most beloved rappers could walk free, let alone give interviews, was nothing short of infuriating. The fact that Blockstar seemed to be skating by without real consequences felt like a slap in the face to Pop's legacy and his grieving fans. Pop Smoke wasn't just another artist, he was a phenomenon. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Bashar Baraka Jackson, better known as Pop Smoke, burst onto the scene in 2019 with hits like Welcome to the Party and Dior. His sound was groundbreaking, blending the grittiness of Brooklyn drill with the pulsating beats of UK drill. It was a style that nobody had heard before, and it instantly set him apart. In just over a year, he achieved what most artists dream of accomplishing in their entire careers. Pop Smoke's rise to fame was meteoric. In 14 months, he went from dropping his first track to becoming one of the hottest names in hip-hop. Big names like Nicki Minaj and Skepta noticed his talent, and he even collaborated with Travis Scott on the massive hit Gotti, which pushed him into the mainstream spotlight. Pop Smoke had something special, a deep, raspy voice that was completely unique in the industry. It was like gangster ASMR, captivating listeners with its raw energy. But it wasn't just his voice that made him stand out. Pop had a stage presence that was unmatched. His laid-back yet commanding energy could turn any party into an unforgettable experience. He didn't need to shout or overdo it. His charisma, infectious dance moves, and undeniable swagger did all the work. Fans loved him for the way he made hip-hop feel fun and alive again. Pop Smoke's journey took off when record producer Rico Beats introduced him to Steven Victor in April 2019. That connection led to Pop signing with Victor Victor Worldwide and Republic Records. His debut mixtape, Meet the Woo, dropped in July 2019, solidifying him as a force to be reckoned with in the rap game. By the time Meet the Woo 2 came out on February 7, 2020, Pop Smoke was unstoppable. The mixtape debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200, marking his first top 10 project and proving that he was on the path to superstardom. But just as his star was shining its brightest, tragedy struck. Only 12 days after the release of Meet the Woo 2, Pop Smoke's life was cut short during a home invasion in Los Angeles. His death shocked the world and left an irreplaceable void in hip-hop. However, Pop Smoke's story didn't end there. His music continued to make waves even after he was gone. On July 3, 2020, 50 Cent, who served as the executive producer, released Pop Smoke's posthumous debut album, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon. The album was an instant hit, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200. All 19 tracks made it onto the Billboard Hot 100, a testament to the profound impact Pop had in such a short time. The album delivered international hits like For the Night featuring DaBaby and Lil Baby, as well as What You Know About Love, both of which became anthems. A year later, in July 2021, Republic Records released his second posthumous album, Faith. In his short but impactful career, Pop Smoke left an undeniable mark on his peers in the hip-hop world. One person who felt that influence deeply was 50 Cent, someone Pop had admired since he was a kid. Growing up, Pop looked up to 50 as a role model, and their connection meant a lot to him. They didn't get much time together before Pop's tragic passing, but the moments they shared were special for both of them.
See, Pop Smoke, that was one of my favorites, man. I like that, man. I swear to God, I really like that, man.
Fans couldn't help but compare the two, pointing out similarities in their music and personalities. Tracks like PTSD had a vibe that felt reminiscent of 50 Cent's early hits, and some even joked that Pop Smoke looked like a younger version of 50. But instead of being bothered by the comparisons, Pop embraced them. He seemed proud to be linked to his idol, and took every chance he could to connect with him. Whether he was stopping by 50's office to rap his favorite 50 Cent lyrics or just soaking up advice, Pop made the most of those moments.
Speaking of Pop Smoke, a lot of people say they hear you in him. He even said that when he started, he was, very influenced by you.
It's a whole new vibe, though. It's no...
During their brief time together, 50 Cent quickly realized how serious Pop Smoke was about his craft. He saw Pop's work ethic firsthand and was impressed by his dedication to making great music. When Pop was taken too soon, 50 knew he had to step up and honor his legacy. He took to Instagram to announce that he would executive produce Pop Smoke's posthumous album. For 50, it wasn't about money or recognition, it was about doing right by Pop and making sure the world didn't forget how special he was. 50 went all out for the album, sharing photos of his time with Pop Smoke and reaching out to some of the biggest names in music to get involved. He called up Roddy Ricch, who didn't hesitate to confirm his feature, and even reached out to Drake and Chris Brown. It was clear that 50 was determined to make this project as big as possible. During an Instagram Live, 50 opened up about why he was putting so much effort into the album. He made it clear he wasn't profiting from it at all. For him, it was about respecting Pop Smoke's memory and celebrating the impact he'd made in such a short amount of time. Pop Smoke was truly one of a kind. Even though his time in the spotlight was cut tragically short, he managed to make an enormous impact. It's heartbreaking to think about all the incredible music we'll never get to hear, and all the moments he never got to experience. His legacy is already massive, but you can't help but wonder just how far he could have gone if he'd had more time.